It's strangely liberating, isn't it? The recognition or the reminder that everything's gone bonkers. Everything's gone completely bonkers. You sort of you feel. You feel yourself sliding back into denial and into sort of thinking, oh, maybe things aren't that bad, or maybe things aren't so upside down, or maybe the damage wreaked upon this country by 14 years of Tories and Brexit and Liz Truss and Boris Johnson, or you forget just how depraved and disgusting he was while many members of my profession were fighting over who got to tickle his toes with the most enthusiasm. You just sort of look at it. And now, of course, the next chapter of that, which is the people most responsible for it, claiming that it's all Keir Starmer's fault, and Nigel Farage sort of leading the line of people most responsible for bringing this country to its knees and pretending that it has nothing to do with them. And every now and then things happen that just remind you of reality, and you can hold on to that reality for a while until it starts slipping out of your grasp once again. And the visit of Donald Trump is a wonderful example. Who is going to celebrate the fact that it was a success? I imagine that there's probably some muted clinking of glasses in Downing Street. And what qualifies a success? Well, it wasn't a disaster, and Trump left happier than he arrived. But it means you've been pandering to a hideous human being, a man who continues to lie about election results while claiming to defend democracy, a man who tried to sue a woman who accused him of rape and for libel and lost, a self-confessed sex offender when it comes to what he's boasted about liking to do to women when he meets them, a serial liar, an obvious racist. All of these things render Donald Trump absolutely hideous to anybody honest, decent or fair. But Keir Starmer still had to roll out the red carpet. Keir Starmer still had to bend the knee. He has no choice. And he did it, I'm afraid, I hesitate to use this word, he did it brilliantly. So how do you turn that into a negative? Especially if you are not deeply disturbed and disgusted by all of the attributes of Trump that I've just described. How on earth do you turn this visit into a negative if you are one of those people in the UK media responsible for bringing us Brexit, bringing us Boris Johnson, bringing us austerity, bringing us Liz Truss, and in recent years, of course, either staying silent or cheering enthusiastically from the sidelines as Israel embarked upon its genocide in Gaza? What an incredible track record of opinion-based journalism those 5 events would create. But it doesn't stop them, not for a nanosecond, from wading into another one. And on this occasion, it'll be, how can we turn Trump's visit into a negative? All the lefties will be wringing their hands about how awful it is to have treated somebody so disgusting, so lavishly. They probably even feel sorry for the king this week. But how do we, the people who brought you Brexit, Boris Johnson, Liz Truss, austerity, how on earth do we turn this into a negative for the poor, credulous fools that pay our wages? Well, I'll tell you, front page of the Daily Mail, it's an absolute masterpiece of the genre. We almost need a new game. I don't think Unhinged even does. So we've got to imagine the editorial meeting. We've got to turn it into a negative. Trump lied. Starmer smiled. But we can't attack Trump for all the lies because we're on the same side of the political... Look, let's not beat about the bush. We love his racism. We love his racism more than we love our own country. So what we're going to do is that we're going to big up the massive racist and use him to criticise our own Prime Minister. And tomorrow we'll run a big article about how patriotic we all are. So they go with the front page. Trump shows PM who's boss. Can you think of a more disgusting position to adopt in a sovereign, patriotic nation than to side with a disgusting human being like Donald Trump and use him as a weapon with which to hit your own Prime Minister over the head? Absolutely extraordinary. Who came out of it better? Was it Keir Starmer, who is honest and who has never been accused of rape, who has never denied an election result, who has never set his own baying mob upon the heart of democracy in his own country while they called for the blood of his own vice president? He has never boasted about grabbing women by the genital. Who came out on top? I mean, what on earth is going on? And these are the people who claim to be patriotic. Up with the Mango Mussolini, down with the democratically elected UK Prime Minister. But it's funny. You take your pleasure where you can at this point in history, because if I told you to vote for Brexit, if I told you to vote for that Boris Johnson was going to be a brilliant Prime Minister, that austerity was the necessary response to an international financial crisis brought about by fetishising wealth and sucking up to bankers, if I'd greeted Liz Truss's fiscal event with rubbing my hands and describing it as the best thing since sliced bread, if I had been spending much of the last couple of years explaining why Israel has the right to do whatever the hell it wants to the Palestinian people, I probably would have lost touch with reality completely by now, and I probably wouldn't notice how disgusting and disloyal I was being when I put together a front page essentially trying to pretend that Donald Trump somehow comes out of a beauty contest with Keir Starmer as the winner. Leveson 2, anybody? Don't hold your breath. So what on earth is the question that we puzzle over today? What on earth is the correct way to mark this? Because it's absolutely horrible. I think we'll just counsel each other, shall we? Should we just do an hour of therapy together? You be my therapist and I'll be yours. And then at the end we can have a big hug and a big cuddle. Because it's horrible. This is a truly horrible moment. Keir Starmer has played a blinder. But he's played a blinder on a pitch that we do not want to be on. Donald Trump has been successfully, cajoled, mollycoddled, preened, tickled, stroked. His ego, his hideous, narcissistic ego has been successfully more than mollified. What's a bigger word than mollified? He's been played beautifully by Keir Starmer and, God bless him, by the King. He's been treated like a cross between, I don't know, the Duke of Wellington and... who's like the one person you can say from the whole of history that everybody would agree was a jolly good egg and a deeply honourable person? I'd say Gandhi, but it'd upset the racists. Who are we going to go with? There's a cross between, I don't know, Winston Churchill? No, there aren't anyone. Jesus. It's like a cross between Jesus and the Duke of Wellington. No, it just doesn't work. But no one has ever been treated like that before. For once, Trump's hyperbole will actually be accurate. No one has ever been treated like this, but they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs. And it's extraordinary, right? They pulled it off. This disgusting man has been treated like a hero, like a conquering hero. And the UK had no choice. And one of the reasons that the UK had no choice but to do this is because of what we've been reduced to by, altogether now, Brexit, Boris Johnson, austerity, and Liz Truss. By precisely the people putting together front pages now saying Trump shows PM who's boss. Editor of the Daily Mail, Ted Verity, probably too stupid to realise that the reason why Keir Starmer is left with no choice but to bend the knee to a hideous man is because of what the United Kingdom has been reduced to as a consequence of appalling government and ludicrous self-harm in the context of leaving the biggest single market in the world. That is the choice we were left with. So how do we do this? I think we just counsel each other today. Assuaged is a nice word. Satiated. Satiated. I don't think I can say that word on the radio, Anthony, but thank you for the suggestion. I think I want to tell you what has happened, and I want you to tell me whether or not you agree. So what we have just seen is awful, but it's the best possible outcome in the current context. So I was toying with the idea of asking you whether you'd rather he hadn't come at all, whether Keir Starmer made a mistake by offering this unprecedented second state visit, whether it was a sacrifice too far of principle upon the altar of pragmatism, whether the Ming vase was not worth carrying over the ice rink. But the contortions of right-wing media are so absurd, so redolent, reminiscent, in fact, of the madness that they were embarked upon when they were telling us that High Court judges are our enemies, that democracy is disastrous, that elected politicians shouldn't have any say whatsoever in the direction of the country, when our universities were hotbeds of radicalism and obnoxiousness, all of that madness back in the day. Just a little wobble. It's not coming back in full force, but goodness me, the desperation to portray something that people who believe in fairness and equality, or the, quotes, left, end quotes, as they are sometimes referred to, are not going to be enjoying or celebrating this moment, but people on the, quotes, right, end quotes, are so curdled with loathing and bitterness that they have to try and turn an obvious positive, an obvious success into a negative. And it is, forgive me, I take my fun where I find it these days, it is incredibly funny to watch. But enough about them. What about you? What's this visit done to you? What's it done to your sense of Britishness? What's it done to your attitude to government, to Keir Starmer, to the role of our country on the world stage at the moment? How has it left you feeling? Because when I said I'll tell you what's happened and you'll tell me whether I'm right or not, I was working towards that description, really. Keir Starmer has done something that has left us all soiled. But not only did he have no choice, he's done it really well. He's emerged with dignity. He has emerged with as much dignity as possible. And that's the phrase I want you to focus on. As much as possible. I think this has gone as well as anybody could have hoped. Do you agree? And remember, you're allowed to say yes, but it might be more fun if you say no. Hopefully we'll get plenty of both. This state visit from Donald Trump, albeit that he has lied, albeit that he's ridden roughshod over some of our traditions and our norms, albeit that he has deliberately and very willfully insulted the most successful mayor in the history of our capital city, the most electorally successful mayor in the history of our capital city, albeit that he is an objectively disgusting human being who, back home in America, is now embarked upon a McCarthyite determination to shut down dissent, to criminalise criticism, and to silence free speech. Starmer had no choice. Discuss. And it went about as well as anybody could have hoped, which is why the Daily Mail is in such paroxysms of confusion and bitterness this morning, even more than usual. And of course, sometimes when I say the Daily Mail, I use it as a catch-all term to describe all the client journalists that brought you Brexit, Boris Johnson, austerity, Liz Truss, and were cheering on genocide in Gaza until very, very recently. Do you agree that it could not have gone better? 0345 6060 973. And if you disagree, tell me why.